Welcome to the BumbleKast, everyone. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the BumbleKing, and joining me as always is the Bumble Quizmaster, Kyle Kraus.
Hello, everybody. We made it to 10 episodes.
Last episode was intended to be a special send-off to the BumbleKing Forums, which will have closed by the time this episode airs. And we had a thread where, only the users could ask questions, and we started answering all of them.
Yeah.
And then we ran out of our hour, and we still had more questions.
Yeah, we had a 2-hour recording session last time.
So we're going to jump right back into those questions, and if it sounds like I'm gargling marbles, I do apologize. I wasn't feeling well when we recorded those. So let's get to it, shall we?
Here we go! Next question from TheShadowImperator, if I'm saying that right. Imperator. What is an Imperator?
It's not Shadow Emperor?
It says Imperator.
What do I know?
Did they change their name, maybe? Oh.
I just write these things. I don't read it.
Imperator Furiosa.
No.
Oh, wow, I'm saying it wrong.
Yeah, Imperator.
Imperator.
Okay. If I had it in front of me,
Imperator.
We're going to cut this out anyway.
Yeah.
Cut.
The Shadow Imperator asks, what are your thoughts / ideas on the canon pathway Shadow took in his game?
In terms of the comic?
In his game, Shadow the Hedgehog, I assume.
Well, for both, I guess.
Okay.
If we ignore the limitations of how many stages you get to play before you reach the end.
Yeah.
I would imagine he dabbles in all three of the plot lines, the hero, the neutral, and the dark, to find out who he is, because that's really the theme of the game, is this is who I am. Ultimately, obviously, he takes the hero path because the final story is him defeating Devil Doom and saving the world. But I would imagine there's a little bit of him gravitating towards the Black Arms for answers that would bring him into conflict with Dr. Eggman and having to confront the idea that he may be just an android, and then coming into his own along the hero path, realizing that he is his own hedgehog, and that he will crush anything that oppresses the weak. And hot diggity, that's also a heroic thing, so why not?
Go figure. Krubo asks, after listening to Ian talk about writing for a Sonic game, I was curious. If you did have the ability to completely dictate the story for a game, even being able to involve non-game characters and elements that you wished, how would you go about it?
Oh, Lord. Let's just go ahead and put this out here, because a few months ago, I ran a Twitter campaign called Ian for Sonic, or Flynn for Sonic, there we go.
Right.
Just trying to see how many people would get behind the idea of me writing for a game. And there were a fair number, and I appreciate that. But some people seem to be under the impression that I would get to dictate how the game was written. That doesn't happen.
No.
If I were to be picked up for the next game, which, fingers crossed, because I would love that, Sega would say, here is the game. Here's the progression. Here are the themes. Here are the gimmicks. Whatever. Connect the dots.
Well, the question is if you didn't have any of those restraints.
Right. But I just want to go ahead and dispel any illusion right now.
Right.
If I were to be picked up on the game, I don't call the shots.
Right, yeah.
Not even remotely. But let's throw that out the window. Let's just approach this in a pure fantasy setting. I have been given pure omnipotent power. I'm going to go all out and just do an RPG. Alright? We're going to base it on the Tales of engine by Bandai Namco, which is based around active combat. It's got a very Smash Brothers styled input for the buttons.
Very fighting game-esque.
Very fighting game-esque. So you have the speed and the action of a regular Sonic-type title, but it's still an RPG. And that way you have the ability to travel to multiple regions and interact with a whole slew of characters that don't necessarily have to be balanced for gameplay. Part of the story takes them to Mobotropolis, where they talk to Sally and talk to Nicole and Antoine and Bunny and whatnot. They, go to Meropus and talk to Coral and Razor and all of them. And their journey around the world doing whatever the game says allows us to explore, the comic characters and the game characters, maybe if you find the one island off to the side, there's Mighty. He's been training on his own, and he becomes that special bonus boss fight with the awesome music that you don't get to hear too much of because it's saved for the special things.
And because it's Mighty, and he's awesome.
Exactly. And while we're doing the absolute fantasy scenario here, the Tales of series is known for its Coliseum battles and their cameo battles, where if you complete the Coliseum at the highest difficulty, you get to fight characters from previous games. Except in Tales of Sonic, he's going to be fighting Mario, Luigi, Bowser, and Peach. Because I say so.
Making a crossover with other franchises, yes.
Or just imagine Mario's Mystic Art, where he throws a gigantic Smash Bros. Style double helix fireball.
Of course, this is Nintendo exclusive.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. It's
on the NX launch title.
Oh, well, yeah, come on.
Give the overlimits, or your overlimit level is extended each Chaos Emerald you get, so that by the time you find all 7, and you fill your overlimit gauge to full, your character goes super. And never mind this only hedgehogs go super nonsense. Everyone gets a super state in this game because I have full omnipotent power. Or if you don't want to say super, call it empowered or powered up or special or fig of the boodle. I don't care. They get sparkly powers and they hit everything like a truck. And in terms of, basic story, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Search for the Chaos Emeralds. 7 emeralds, 7 land masses.
Of course.
Knack steals them at one point, so that's an 8th chapter of you chasing him down. Little side chapters for extra characters. You get your final showdown on not Death Egg number 3 or whatever.
And you've got fully voiced skits, of course. You gotta have those.
Oh, absolutely.
You gotta have those. Come on. This is a Tales game.
If I had unlimited funds and was able to buy my way into a producer role, that would pretty much be how I would do it.
That is a fantastic pie-in-the-sky dream. Man. I'm just imagining it. It would be really good. Even if it went for that sort of cel-shaded look too that the Tales series is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go on to the next question, shall we? Before we get too wrapped up in this.
Too depressed at the idea that it won't happen.
Yeah. Uwaii asks. I think I'm saying that right. I might be. I don't know.
You're about to get down with the sickness.
Uwaii. What other characters from the classic Mega Man media would you have liked used in the comic as part of the main cast?
If we had gotten through Mega Man 4, I would have liked the Cossack bots to show up more often.
That would have been cool.
Would have wanted more mileage out of Proto Man because Proto Man's awesome. Would have liked to have introduced Waltz if I had gotten the chance.
Waltz would have been cool.
Would have liked to bring back the Light Robot Masters, both the classic and the Mega Man 9 set, a little bit more. But in terms of classics, those are the ones I was really itching for. Oh, and obviously to bring bass into the mix, but...
Oh, yeah, bass is like...
I'm
disappointed it wasn't able to get that far.
Time and continuity were not on my side with bass.
No. Bass is introduced very late, actually. It's kind of weird, but yeah. He's such a cool character, though. I might just be partial to him because Mega Man 7 was my first Mega Man game, but... Still, he's pretty great. ZulonErdis wants to know, have you ever put a reference in the comic that went completely unnoticed?
Oh, sure.
Can you give an example?
No.
Okay, didn't think so.
I mean, I'm sure there have been numerous occasions, but they would have come and gone, and I don't remember off the top of my head. I would pretty much have to go through and reread everything I've written and look at all the forum posts and whatnot to see what got picked up on and what didn't, and I don't have the time for that.
Of course not. Nobody has time for that.
Does anybody really have any time at all? I butchered that song reference. That's going to get cut.
TheSwordsman asks... Oh, man. Oh, this question... I already know the answer to this question. I can answer it for you.
Okay.
Want me to answer it for you? I can answer it for you.
Well, let's hear the question first.
Okay, if you could write a proper end to the old continuity, how would it go? The answer to that is wait for Lost Hedgehog Tales.
The answer is rocks fall, everybody dies.
Man, that's a great ending. That's the best ending ever.
Seriously, if I had the opportunity, ultimately we would have wound up very similarly to where we are now. Because I wanted to bring things to a cataclysmic finale and bring us closer to the game canon, but that was such a long-term plan. I can't really say here was how I would have done it. But if I had the opportunity to do it all over again, if I had had some forewarning, if I knew what I knew now, I would have liked to bring the old continuity to something akin to a closure, some kind of big victory for everyone, instead of it being right in the middle of everyone being torn down, which is fate's timing, and relaunched things closer to the official Sega Bible on the series. But, life gives you lemons. Figure out how to make grenades with those lemons. You burn Life's house down. You know how it goes.
Oh, yeah.
But that was reference to Portal. If nobody got that, the reference for Portal. And that right there, the awkward way of saying it, is a reference to Team 4 Star's Helsing a Bridge. So, double reference?
Oh,
yeah!
man.
Not an original thought on my own.
Man, these references are getting deep. We have to go deeper, though. We really do. Specs64s asks, if you absolutely had to kill off one main character, hero or villain, who, why, and how would it happen?
If I had to kill off a character, it probably wouldn't be of my own volition. If I had to do something, it probably would have come down from on high, and that would be for whatever reason they had, whether I liked it or not. Right now, there isn't anyone I would want to kill off, because I'm still using them. And I really, really hate the revolving door of death in comics. So if we did kill someone off, I would want them to stay dead.
Good luck with that.
So, no, not to duck out of the question, but, it would have to be a decision not made by me. That's why it would be have to kill a character. I mean, if you gave me a scenario of this character has to die, how do you do it? I could work with that, but of my own volition? No, I don't want to. You can't make me. Yeah.
If I could kill off one of the main characters, I can't think of anybody good. I like them all.
See?
I know. I can't do it. All right. Mobotropolis asks, have you ever made a decision about something written in the book and later come to regret it?
Yes, and that could be said for just about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the curse of doing anything creative, is that you look back at it later and go, oh, well, I could have done it this way, or if I had done this instead, I could have gone this direction later on, or this could have been worded better, or I could have done this instead, and 20/20 hindsight, it drives me crazy. Sometimes I think I pushed the envelope a little too far. I mean, the 100 gun salute to Tommy Turtle that literally turned him to ash was kind of graphic for a kid's book.
That was early on, though. I think you were probably still trying to get a feel for things.
The feel for things, it was fan service, really, because everyone hated Tommy.
Yeah, true.
Except by the end of the story, I had redeemed it to the point where people actually felt sorry for him again. It's like, well, why do you have to die? It's like, nobody wanted him alive in the first place. You were happy when he died the first time. But, I don't know. At the same time, it was such a powerful moment. And it really signified how evil Adam was and how powerful and yet powerless Supersonic was, that it really was one of the strongest emotional moments we had in the book. And it was the death of Tommy freaking Turtle. So, I don't know. Everything that has come to pass, I think I can make a case for, or unless it was totally out of my hands. And even then, I could probably try to find a way to spin it. But there will always be that second guessing. Always thought of how could I have done this better. But in the end, I think we've done most of the right decisions. We've told the best stories we can with the various stuff going on in the background. There's nothing I can really look back on and say, no, toss the whole thing and start over. I'm pretty happy with where we are now.
Awesome. Scruffy asks, what would you most like to see in a new Sonic game? I think we already went over that.
Yeah, but
An RPG.
in a regular Sonic type game, I guess.
Right.
Pretty much, I'd love to see Generations 2.
Yeah.
Or Colors 2.
Yeah.
Because to me, that was the right way to do Sonic. You had levels that were long enough to enjoy without being tedious. You had the smaller levels to play with gimmicks. You had the 2D side-scrolling that felt close enough to the classic without being pixel perfect. And then you had the absolutely ridiculous, over-the-top, high-speed sections in 3D with the Twitch reaction. Very forgiving Twitch reaction, but, Twitch reaction for people who play games like me. You had the collectibles with the red star rings. You had the very simple stories that were charming and did what they needed to do. I would just really like to see that. The thing I would like the most would be taking those formulas and then taking what was dabbled in Generations with the extended cast being kind of power-ups of sorts.
Yeah.
And playing with that more. Like, maybe phase out the wisps and phase in the supporting cast so that, you hit the item bubble and you turn into Tails briefly and you can fly. Or turn into Knuckles briefly and you've got a few seconds of invincibility where you're just tearing through walls and badniks. Stuff like that. Use the extended cast without having to make them playable characters, because at this point that's 30 freaking characters. Ain't gonna happen. But give me my fun platforming. Give me my stupid fast platforming. Give me some lip service for the extended cast, and I'm good.
I would really like to see an original Sonic game using the Hedgehog engine that's used for the remakes of Sonic CD, Sonic 1, and Sonic 2. That would be my dream game, is a true Sonic 4, because, let's face it, Sonic 4, it didn't really live up to my expectations, personally.
Episode 1 was lacking. I enjoyed Episode 2.
Episode 2 was alright. I think my big problem with Episode 2, honestly, and Episode 1, was I was just really disappointed with the music. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what's wrong? This is Jun Senoway. This is a fantastic composer. He's been with the series forever, but it just doesn't live up to the previous stuff. And, music is an important part for me, personally, so.
I really liked the Metal Sonic's theme, for what it's worth.
Well, yeah, there were good songs in it, but I was just like, I don't know. It just didn't really come together as cohesively for me as what I'd hoped for.
None of them really stood out like Sonic 2 and Sonic 3.
Or Sonic 1, even.
Mm-hmm. Although I would argue it has the weaker soundtrack out of the trilogy, but...
yeah, I'll give you that one, but there's the tracks are still memorable and catchy and legendary at this point for a lot of them.
Sonic 4 never had anything remotely Ice Cap-ish, let's put it that way.
Yeah, Sonic 4 is missing sort of that iconic sound that the original games had. I'm just trying to think. Sonic 4 was weird because it kind of sounded like Sonic 3D Blast, because that was also composed by Jun Senoway. But it still was just kind of weird and didn't quite even live up to that to me. I don't know, maybe it's just because Jun was more accustomed to writing live instrumentals rather than live guitar-driven stuff rather than Sega Genesis style stuff. He's been doing that for the last 20 years, so I don't know. That might be something. I was just really disappointed, especially in that aspect of that game. So a new Sonic game in the style of the classics using the Hedgehog engine would be phenomenal. I would love to see that.
Well, while we're having the imaginary I have unlimited producer powers, let's just do Sonic Lineage, where it's, like you said, Hedgehog engine, total HD remake of Sonic 1 that leads into Sonic 2, that leads into Sonic CD, that leads into Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which leads into Sonic 4, which has episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Yes, I want it now. I want it yesterday.
And then for the encore, you get Sonic Advance 2, Sonic Advance 3, and Sonic Battle all done the same way.
This is the ultimate lock-on technology we got going on here. This is great. FancyFool has a question. They want to know, have your thoughts / opinions on some or most of the characters changed before you wrote them to now, after writing these characters for years?
For Sonic, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sonic, when I first got on the book, he was my big challenge because he bored me the most. He was the good guy. He was the jock.
Yeah.
That was it. Everyone else had a more interesting angle to them in my mind. So when I got on the book, it became a question of, all right, how do I make this guy interesting to me so that my interest and enthusiasm carries over into the book and thus everyone else is entertained? And as I've described it a few times on a couple podcasts now, when you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off, and you don't think of that one good one-liner until you get home that really would have zinged them. Sonic is that one-liner, but on time.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that on this podcast before.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah.
He is the epitome of the right thing at the right time.
Right.
He's just that smooth. He's just that cool.
He has great
but
timing.
He's not a jerk about it. Well, he is, but to the deserving parties.
Yeah.
So once I realized that's what his role was, and then you put it against Eggman, who is so meticulous, and usually is the one who is so smart and on top of things, and he can't keep up on multiple levels. That adds the fun dynamic between the two of them, the banter and the antagonism that can come from either direction. And once I figured that out, he became a lot of fun to write.
Yeah, Sonic is fun. I obviously wouldn't be here if it weren't for Sonic. Is there any other characters you weren't really into them at first and then kind of warmed up to them as you wrote them more?
Not especially. I know with Sally, I set out to rebuild her character because by the time I had come on, she had been through so many personal crises and had wandered so far away of what made her interesting to begin with, that I wanted to basically get her back to that point where she was somebody that could be on par with Sonic and be an interesting character next to him.
Yeah.
But, of course, that all went out the window with the reboot, so I could basically just start where I wanted her to be at the get-go with the reboot. So, the best laid plans.
Of course. SonicBlueRanger asks, is there a story for Sonic or Mega Man you feel didn't come out as good as you had originally planned?
Honestly, I don't know if Worlds Unite came together perfectly, but that one I didn't have as much control over as others. Not to pass the buck, you know.
Yeah.
It was my job to tell the story, and I don't think I necessarily told the best story, and I could explain it away and whatnot, but in the end, you know, I didn't manage to make it sparkle, so I think it's still fun, especially the third chapter out of everything.
The third chapter is definitely the most fun.
But
I will say, it does feel a little rushed, but it's still fun. So there is that.
But nothing else really springs to mind as something that I really wished I could have, that I don't think came out fairly soundly. I guess House of Cards, the pre-reboot story where Sonic and Tails are pit against each other because of family ties and different socio-political beliefs. That was a two-part story, where originally I wanted it to be a multi-part story, at least as long as the Iron Dominion arc. Mm-hmm. I wanted that to be something that was not just the two of them, but the various freedom fighters and where they stood and where their loyalties were to each other and to the kingdom and to their beliefs and their ideals. And I really wanted to make it a big exploration of the team and their dynamic and what they stood for and what they fought for. And that one, I was told, make it 2 issues. Move on to Interjack. So it misses a lot of the points that I wanted to make, but so it goes.
Yep.
In the end, the message of that story is Sonic cares for Tails. It's just he isn't thoughtful about how he does it. And he learns from that, and their friendship is stronger for it.
Anime Cowboy asks, from fan to professional change, what was your most difficult transition?
I guess learning how to regulate fan expectation and fan desire, personal desire, and licensor/editorial desire into something that could please most of the people most of the time.
Right, because you can't please everybody.
No, you can't. I think sometimes I've skewed too far towards trying to cater to the fans. Sometimes I've skewed too far to be safe with those who are in power. And sometimes I've sacrificed, what I particularly would want to see, but that's because that's the job.
Yeah.
But I think early on, I found a decent enough balance. I would like to think I had the professionalism to do that. But I guess that would be the biggest hurdle in that regard. And I would like to think that I've found that balance now.
I'd say so. I mean, I don't know all the goings-on, especially behind the scenes, but,
No.
Seems like everyone's a little more chill now, a little happier, or at least a little more tolerable. Crimson Knight wants to know, which character do you feel is easiest to get in the head of and connect with, to the point where you actually find yourself thinking of mundane, everyday things in the mindset of that character rather than your own?
I don't think I've ever gotten that deep into the character.
You mean you don't think like Bean all the time?
No.
You could have fooled me.
I almost made an illicit drug joke there, but I probably should keep this show clean. There isn't anyone who's really taken over. I do approach writing these in the way of kind of a method actor, but I wouldn't say that they've ever really kind of taken the wheel for themselves. Having been at it so long, though, I do think I slip rather comfortably into Sonic and Eggman at this point. Just because I've gotten so much practice and because they're so much fun to write. They are walking wish fulfillment. Because, like I said, Sonic is always that snappy comeback that you wish you had. And Eggman gets to say all these awful things while being delightfully charming and get away with it.
Eggman is definitely something I like. Your impression of him is actually really good.
Oh, and this all comes back to a previous question. Character I would have brought back. Yeah, I have the answer now.
Who's that?
Dr. Fenitivus.
Yeah.
He was a unique voice.
Yeah.
He was a unique villain with a unique goal, and boy was he fun to write for. Because never mind Eggman with his delightful flamboyance, Fenitivus was that cool, creepy sinister that just commanded immediate respect. And just to pretend that for a half an instant you're that cool as you're writing that line was delightful. I think Fenitivus would be the one I brought back, and he's one of the guys I had the most ease with writing. So I'm not going to go back and re-edit that in later. We're just going to call it
That's
even
fine.
right there.
Yeah, we'll throw it in. Yeah, we're approaching the 2-hour mark in live recording this. Editing, it's going to come down quite a bit, but yeah, we're getting long in the tooth here. This might be the longest episode yet.
Yeah, it probably will be.
It will be. Yeah, I think it will be. All right, let's move on to some questions. We're winding down here, though. We're getting toward the end with a question from Sparky. They want to know about Mighty. Why is Mighty still considered to be so strong when in the games Knuckles is said to be as strong as Sonic is fast, and Mighty was never actually portrayed as being that strong in the few games he's appeared in?
Because it makes enough sense for his character. I mean, if his name was Speedy, sure, we'd focus more on his speed, but his name is Mighty.
Mighty, yeah.
You don't name a character Mighty, and you don't make him mighty. And it's something that has kind of existed across various incarnations of the character. And I'm fairly certain it was in the early Chaotix manual material. I'd have to double-check that, but...
Yeah, I don't remember.
It makes sense for the name, it makes sense for the character, it gives him a little bit of diversity. Because in a game where everyone is fast and can spin dash to a degree, having someone who is, move mountains strong is different and isn't Big the Cat.
Yeah. Well, going back to an earlier question, actually, I would say Mighty was also one of my favorite characters back in the day, even though he was just like a weird kind of sprite edit of Sonic. I don't know. I just kind of liked him. When I got the chance to play Knuckles Chaotix, which I guess not many people did.
And you can't beat the black and red color scheme. Shadow.
Yeah, that might have been it, actually. I don't know. I just thought he was kind of cool because he still looked kind of like Sonic, but he's just that little bit different. I don't know. There was just something about him that I liked. Up next, we've got a completely unpronounceable name. I cannot pronounce this. This is keyboard mashing. This is literally what this is. Someone just mashed on the keyboard to make their username.
Thesis.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, absolutely.
They want to know. Earlier in the comics run, Sonic Underground and Sonic X were linked to the old reality. Now that the Super Genesis wave has erased most of the alternate zones that were connected to Mobius Prime in the old reality, have Sonic Underground and Sonic X been erased like those other zones, or have they been rewritten in some way?
That is a tricky matter since it's not really Mobius Prime anymore, but I would say for now to discount them, but not entirely. Because where these worlds of Secret Rings and Black Knight fall could be considered parallel worlds, but the nature of the multiverse in this incarnation of the series is very up in the air for reasons I can't really get into. So I wouldn't worry about it right now. That's kind of a lame answer.
Yeah. I missed the multiverse. Come on, we need some DC comics up in here. We got to do the. We need a good. Wait, we already had a good Crisis. Never mind. Ziggy Finn asks, "What's your favorite type of cookie and why?"
Girl Scout mint cookies, of course.
Oh, come on! It's all about the white chocolate macadamia, or at least white chocolate. Anything white chocolate, I'm down.
No, white chocolate is the devil.
What? Are you serious?
It is inedible.
We're really going to get into this?
Edible schlock.
No.
Girl Scout Thin Mints.
You know, I like Thin Mints, but I'm not that big of a fan of mint, especially with cookies.
Or the Keebler's little chocolate-covered grams. Those are addictive.
If I'm going to go Girl Scout cookies, I'd rather go Caramel Delights.
No.
Or Samoas. Come on. Yes. Come on.
You're killing me, Kyle.
You're killing me, Ian. Come on.
You're killing me, Kyle. I don't know what I can't.
Are you regretting asking me to be on the show now? Simply because of my cookie preferences?
Not regretting.
If so, then that's the intention. I mean.
Alright, so let me put it this way. Chips Ahoy?
No.
Or Oreo?
Oreo.
Alright. We still have a show.
Okay. Chips Ahoy are kind of...
it's got to be the chunky Chips Ahoy. I need that extra crunch and chocolate.
I just don't like crunch. I like soft cookies.
But Oreos have crunch.
A little, yeah, but not like break your teeth out crunch that Chips Ahoy have.
I don't know.
Or that really weird spongy texture that the Chips Ahoy, like, soft, chewy ones have.
Oh, those are amazing.
Seriously?
Yes.
I don't like them at all. I'm sorry.
At least we're... Alright, so how about this? We're narrowing it down.
Okay.
Oreo or double stuff Oreo?
Double stuff.
There we go. We got a show, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, double stuff. I had to go double stuff. Sometimes you're just in the mood for a regular Oreo, though.
True.
Or a golden Oreo.
No, Kyle, we had it. Why did you?
We had this, and then I ruined it all.
Just move on. Next question.
Tolinos. I don't know who Tolinos is, but I'm saying their name like I'm really excited. Tolinos asks, if you were given the chance to choose any one story you've written, whether it's from Sonic, Mega Man, New Crusaders, TMNT, Raiders of the Abyss, etc., and have it turned into a professionally animated feature, which one would you pick?
First, you acknowledge Raiders of the Abyss. You're so kind. That was such a glorious failure.
3 of those have already been animated.
Right. But I particularly wrote.
Right. Your versions of them, I suppose.
One that immediately springs to mind would be Sonic Universe number 3, where Shadow is sent on a mission to recover E-102 Gamma, who was still running around because of continuity flubs at the time. And at the same time, E-123 Omega is sent to destroy Gamma. And through the course of the story, Shadow kind of comes to understand Gamma has developed his own soul. And when Gamma and Omega battle, Omega is far more powerful, but Gamma is smarter and stealthier, and manages to get the drop on Omega on a couple of occasions, and before being destroyed, beams his free will coding into Omega, and that's why Omega turns around, rebels against Eggman, and joins Team Dark. Never mind that Tracy did a phenomenal job rendering that story. But that one in particular, as I was writing it out, I felt like I was more writing a screenplay for an episode that was to be animated, not a comic. That one I could see vividly, shot for shot, what the action was. In terms of just raw visual, I would love to see Sonic 175 animated. That's the one where Eggman wins. Where he blows up Castle Acorn and beats the stuffing out of Sonic. If nothing else for that fight, the moment where Sonic zips off to the East Coast and revs up the highest figure 8 peel-out he's ever done.
Yeah.
Limit! I got your limit right here! Oh my gears and starters.
I have two, actually. One of them is not yours, though. Are we allowed to mention that?
Well, you mentioned yours, and I've got one that's not mine that I would also love to see animated, but go ahead.
Okay, my first one, which is yours, Champions. We've mentioned many times before how awesome that arc is. It's beautiful. I love it. Champions would be an excellent arc. And Spark of Life.
Yep.
Was that your other pick?
No, my other pick, purely for one scene, was Tracy's Babylon Rising arc.
That's a good one, too, yeah.
When the rogues are just running rampant on the Armada, making fools out of them, and then the Battle Lord comes off of the Battle Fortress, obliterates the top of the mountain, looks over to Speedy and says, "Get up, son. It's time for school." And then just wipes the floor with the rogues. Oh. I'm jealous of that scene. He wrote it so well.
Another one that's not yours that I would like to see animated. Pirate Plunder Panic, Tracy's Sonic Universe arc.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just a fan of Blaze, so any excuse for more Blaze is always good for me. All right. Wow, we're really close to the end here. We got 2 more questions, and then we're almost done. Or we are done. The King of Shadows wants to know. I thought it was going to be the King of Town. I'm disappointed. Why did you let the Fundies make this place so unpleasant for some people and let them get away with it?
Wow. Okay. Well, there are we.
Wow. I'm not even sure exactly what they're referring to. This seems kind of
referring
hard.
to, and we're treading lightly on the line where we said we weren't going to get into religion or politics with this show, but fundamentalists.
Yeah. Okay.
And there were a few outspoken members on the forum, and
it was
one of the things that really made me happy with the farewell thread, a couple of the users who were more fundamentalist had their worldview expanded.
Yeah.
By those that they talked to. And there's one in particular who was resistant, and who I heatedly and passionately and personally disagree with, to the point where I had to remove myself from any kind of administration because I knew I couldn't look at it in a fair point of view because I was so displeased with their stance. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, going back to the rules, as long as they were not outwardly attacking anyone, they have the freedom of speech. They have their freedom to say what they believe. Right. And as an open forum, there's room for debate. Whether or not everyone was mature enough to enter into that debate is something else. But the person in question, who I believe that they're referencing, was told to knock it off. And they did, and when they started to bring it up again, they were very quickly and decisively told to knock it off. Not necessarily publicly, because again, we didn't want to make a big to-do in the public. Everyone was dealt with on a one-to-one basis. I also think it's unfair to say that the Fundies, if you want to use that...
so derogatory. Eesh.
Sounds like a fun pair of underwear, which is pretty much the other end of the spectrum, isn't it?
This is true.
They weren't the only ones who necessarily brought down the fun of the forum. I could go on at length at what some folks did to make things not as enjoyable as others, but it was not one in particular group. It was not one in particular person. But there were those who made things more difficult for us, especially those that stood within the rules for years, but still made it unpleasant for everyone else. Everyone who came to the forum was given a fair shake. And sometimes they were given more than their fair shake because some people were able to turn it around, some people were not. That's why we had the rules. That's why we had the 3-strike system, so that everyone got their fair shot. Whether or not they used that to their advantage is beyond my control. And after 10 years of trying to police people, trying to get them to play fair and have an open mind, I'm tired. Because for every fundy who caused a ruckus, there were 2 or 3 other people who lost their minds and couldn't approach it in an objective or mature way. There's no one innocent or guilty party in any argument. So,
right.
We did what we could.
Every forum goes through that, though.
And I think, compared to a number of other forums,
yeah,
we did a good job of keeping it an open and welcoming place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no death threats to any of the professionals on ours, I'll tell you that.
That's very good. That's very good.
Moot point now, we're closing the forum and putting it to bed. Speaking of putting it to bed, I believe we are on to our last question.
That's right. Sunwalker getting in here with the last question. If the Other M fan comic had continued, how would it have ended? Great. Do you need to do an Other M Lost Tales now?
Like I said, I wanted to end this on a high note. Oy vey. Other M, from what I remember, and again, this was years ago.
Yes.
And it was full of high school deep angst.
Sure.
It would have ended with more or less everyone dying or moving on, with Sonic returning to the main universe. Pretty much that's it. I think I had Bean and Bunny have a happy ending, but otherwise everyone dies.
Were there any rocks involved, and did they fall?
Most likely.
Okay.
Most likely. I do... Oh my goodness, I had forgotten this. This is awful.
Uh-oh. Dig it up. Come on, dig it up.
Oh, this is like finding the old home movie of your dance recital where you decided that you were going to do interpretive dance or something.
Come on, don't hold back. Let us know. Let's go. Let us know.
Oh, I do remember that Other M Sonic was going to go super for the final battle against Evil Tails, who wasn't really even, the Tails of that, whatever. And for some reason, I thought it was awesome that not only did he turn into the normal gold, but that stupid plaid vest I had him in for whatever reason turned into a cape.
Oh, yeah.
And the big mechanical shoes got even more big into, like, Gundam-style boots with these big Harley-esque exhaust pipes coming out of the straps.
Sounds like Reploid boots.
Yeah, only stupid. Oh, man.
I don't know, man. That sounds pretty awesome.
I'm glad you enjoy it. Oy.
I'm a big fan of the absurd. Come on, you know that.
I know, it kind of loops around absurd and gets back to stupid without making the absurd.
I suppose. It depends on how you would have implemented it. I don't know. My memory of Other M is very foggy.
Oh, please keep it that way.
I know it's out there.
Yeah, unfortunately, people keep it alive. I will say this for Other M.
Mm-hmm.
It was an invaluable learning experience.
Yes.
I worked with a lot of talented and very, very generous people. And when it started, there weren't really a lot of long-term fan comics out there. They were usually, a single issue or a couple of pages, and that was it.
Right.
The team I worked with managed to do 30 issues, and it was translated into 3 other languages, I think.
Nice.
Spanish, German, and Russian, I want to say. Portuguese.
Thanks, Aaliyah.
Which, that's an accomplishment. Writing itself is garbage, but,
It can't be that bad.
I
I know you'll sit there and critique it all day, but come on.
I wouldn't critique it, I'd just kind of set it on fire and let it be purged.
Well, that, yeah.
And there you have it. All 2 hours of your questions and my answers. My throat has, sympathy pains for my past self.
Yeah, that was a long session of recording.
It was a long session, but it was a good session.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, tip of the hat to everyone who helped keep BumbleKing Forums fun, to who kept them running, and who really made it worth to keep running for 10 years,
Yeah, that was... It really came through with a lot of questions. You guys are awesome. So I did not expect to sit here for nearly 2 hours recording recording that many questions. I don't think we expected that many, but hey, I'm not complaining. That's awesome.
But this isn't the end of the Q&A sessions, at least for this, series. If you have questions for us, ask them in the YouTube comments below, or send them to me or Kyle with the hashtag BumbleKast, and we'll add them to the list of questions to be answered. Because, Kyle, we have a long list of questions to go through still, don't we?
Oh yeah, we have quite a few questions. We have enough to last us for quite a while. But we can always use more. More is good.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, the more questions you ask, the longer we can keep doing Q&A. So. And of course, it doesn't have to necessarily be comic related. If you got a burning question that's not comic book related, you can toss that in there too. Why not?
Just for novelty's sake.
Sure.
And coming up on the show in the future, we will start having interviews.
Yes.
Who they are and what we will be asking will be a surprise, so stay tuned to the Twitter feeds and to BumbleKing.com for all the news on upcoming episodes and who we will be interviewing. Yes.
I can tell you, as the one with the full inside information, it's going to be awesome. You're not going to want to miss it. So, yeah. That's
tell your friends, tell your pets, bring them over and listen to the BumbleKast.
Tell your enemies, too. And it doesn't matter to us. Listener's a listener.
Yeah, absolutely. As always, you can keep up with what's going on in my life at BumbleKing.com or on Twitter at IanFlynnBKC.
And you can find what's going on in my world over at kngi.org for all your updated video game, music, radio needs. And you can also follow me on Twitter at KyleJCRB. And I think that's it, unless you had something else you wanted to throw in here, Ian, before we take off.
I think I've thrown everything that can be thrown at this point.
Oh, okay. Are you sure about that? I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's it from us. We'll see you in 2 weeks, folks.
Bye! Thank you for listening to the BumbleKast. Please subscribe to the show and leave a rating and review on iTunes. Find more episodes at BumbleKing.com and kngi.org. BumbleKast is copyright BumbleKing Comics. Original music composed by Ken Coda Snyder, used with permission. Find more music from Coda at bc.s3m.us. Pay what you want for the intro theme as part of the compilation album Noise-Chan and Nugget Adventures in Chiptune at noisechanradio.bandcamp.com.